There's this trend going around on Instagram where everyone's posting photos from 2016. So when I went through the deep depths of my camera roll, I found photos like this and was jump scared to make the realization that I was a genius. Okay. If 2026 me had to explain any of this, I'm pretty sure U of T would come and rip my diploma from my hands. But ultimately, I was reminded of the fact that during my student era, I had such a high capacity for learning. My reading comprehension was high. My ability to write and communicate my ideas was rich. I could retain information for longer than 24 hours. What? Learning at the end of the day is a skill, and like any skill, it can be lost. And I, for one, am feeling very out of practice. I think there's a lot of reasons for this that we can all relate to. Doom scrolling has gotten us into the habit of really thirsting for information in 30 seconds or less. Otherwise, we scroll and get that dopamine hit from something new. AI tools like ChatGPT have made it much easier to avoid the heavy lift of learning, getting into the nitty-gritty of things, doing the actual work. And let's not forget adulthood. I'm no longer a student where my main responsibility is learning and going to classes and writing papers. I have other responsibilities, work, obligations, things that take up my time, that need to take up my time. So there's less in the tank for active learning. That being said, I want to change that in 2026. I want to be intentional about learning again so that I don't become dumb. No, I'm not dumb. I'm simply out of practice. To do just that, I'm taking part in something I've been seeing pop up on the internet, which is this concept of building your own curriculum. Now, why I think this is so powerful is it really puts learning into your own hands. You not only get to choose what you learn about, so ideally you're going to choose topics that really speak to you. You also have control over how you learn, and that means that you can cater it to your specific learning styles that vibe with the way that your brain works, which is not something that you necessarily get to do in a traditional school setting. You also control when you learn and how much time you spend learning. It's all in your hands, and that's why I find this concept so interesting. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin. I'm a content creator based in Toronto, and I'm very passionate about intentional living, but also bringing creativity into my day-to-day and bringing you along with me. I love books, I love art, I love DIYs, but I also love organizing my space so that I can feel like there's freedom in my brain to pour into creative projects. So if any of that sounds intriguing to you, then be sure to hit subscribe. But let's get into my curriculum. First thing I kind of wanted to nail down was how long each course was going to be that I take. And I think 6 weeks for me feels like a happy medium of not being too long, like an actual semester of school, which is 4 months. 3 months. I still have doom scrolling monkey brain going on. I don't want to do something for too long that I get bored of it, but it needs to be long enough for me to actually spend time within the material. Longer than a month, less than 2. Now, if I were taking a course in university today, my schedule would probably look something like this. Full-time workload during a semester of university is usually 4 courses, or it was when I was in university. So Caitlin, you're going to do 4 courses, right? No, that's not what we're going to do because I am not a full-time student. I'm a part-time student. I don't have this perfect blank canvas to work with in terms of my time availability. I have a big chunk of my week that has to be dedicated to work. So it really leaves the morning and the evenings to get this done if we're not including the weekend. So I think 1 to 2 courses is a lot more realistic for me to do. It is a real uphill battle to try and fit in all of this extra stuff into my already busy schedule. So I have to be a little realistic here. It's better to tiptoe into something than to take on all of these new tasks I need to do every single day. And then I'm just like adding a lot more stress to my plate and taking the fun out of learning because I want this to be a fun experience. When it comes to choosing my courses, I really wanted to pick things that aligned with what I had already been thinking about for the beginning of the year in terms of my goals, but also areas of interest. I think picking a topic that you are genuinely so excited about really will help make this frictionless, especially when you're trying to build a habit up. You want to make it as easy as possible. Might not come as a surprise, but my first course is going to be languages, specifically Portuguese. I really need to be intentional about learning Portuguese this year. It is my goal to ultimately be A2 level proficient, but to get to A2, I kind of need to do A1. I think it's doable because I do have some knowledge of Portuguese. It's my background, if you don't know. The thing about learning a new language, though, is that you actually have to practice it every single day. I'm a strong believer in that, and based on like everything that I've read about when it comes to learning languages, daily practice or consistent practice throughout the week is huge for helping you get any sort of progress going. So I know my second course has to be something that is a little bit more in my wheelhouse of doableness if I'm going to choose another course, which I am. Course number 2 is going to be a classics course. I've read over 1,000 books in my lifetime, but I have severely ignored classic novels. I've read quite a few of the famous ones through school, but this year I'm just feeling called to incorporate some of it into my personal reading routine. Not because I think I should, because I do think when it comes to reading, there can be shame over what you read. Like if you're not reading the most intellectual stuff, then you're not like truly a reader, which I think is silly. Like I love reading for the ability to shut my brain off and to deep dive into someone else's life and explore a new world, and it's all exciting and thrilling. But I do think there's another side to reading where it can be deeply critical and thought-provoking and confusing as well. And all of these things I think about when I think about classic novels. I'm kind of going into this with low expectations of like what I'll get out of it. I don't want to put pressure on it to be like this super expansive event in my life, but I do want to give it a genuine shot, because I think these are novels that have stuck around, that have stood the test of time for a reason, and I'd like to get curious about it. Ultimately, I think the curiosity is what's driving me. That's why I say this is a little bit more in my wheelhouse. This is like a real big add-on to a habit or a hobby that I'm very much so familiar with and very comfortable with reading, but obviously classic literature is a whole other beast, but I think it's doable. Let's start off with the languages course though. In this course, I will focus on learning how to read, write, and communicate in basic European Portuguese. European Portuguese is pretty important to me here. I want it to be European, not Brazilian, not because I don't like Brazilian Portuguese. I actually think in a lot of ways it sounds a lot better to the ear, but I got European roots. I want to know the European way of speaking. The first thing I really want to accomplish in this course is to get through the A1 course on Practice Portuguese. It is a site that actually has units for practicing Portuguese. I definitely could have built my own curriculum or strategy for tackling A1 proficiency, but I feel like just going through something that has already been created makes the most sense. So I did sign up for it. It is a paid subscription monthly, but I hope it'll be worth it. I feel like A1 is going to be pretty simple for me to get through because, like I said, my basic understanding of Portuguese is pretty high. So this will be all like refreshers, but the thing that isn't very high is my ability to write. And reading I think is much better than my writing, but the ability to like recall even like specific accents on certain letters, that is rusty even for the most basic words. So that alone is why I'm not going straight to A2. I want to make sure I go through A1 so that the foundation is set. Select the correct image for obrigado, which if I was saying it would be obrigada, because I do know you have to say the feminine version because I am a female. Ah, see, I was right. I taught you something.
De nada.
De nada. You're welcome. Favor. I do have the app on my phone, so this is gonna be like an easy Duolingo-esque thing to incorporate in my day-to-day because I can do it even while I'm on the couch. I want to do at least one lesson every single day. That's like my main goal. In addition to working through the course, I also want to consume Portuguese media, at least one piece of media every single week, whether it's a TV show or a YouTube video from an authentic European Portuguese speaker with English subtitles. The other thing that I think would be super helpful is for me to fill my feed with Portuguese creators. So find creators that talk about the things I naturally like journaling and creative living, DIYs, fashion content, routines, like anything that is in my wheelhouse. So it's a way to like integrate it into what I'm already doing rather than trying to reinvent the wheel here. So if there's any Portuguese creators you think I should be following, please let me know. I'm very excited about that one. Any course I've taken also has assessments and grading. And when I was really trying to think about what I would measure as success in this course, ultimately it's just completion. Now, I think I have different weights to the things that I think are more important. So getting through the A1 course is definitely the most important. So I'd say it's going to count for 50% of my success in this course. But media and practice are also pretty important. So they make up 30 and 20% of my grade. And then the feed is more like a 10% because it will be a nice thing to focus on, but not necessarily what I think will give me the most progress in my Portuguese journey. In my classics course, I will focus on learning how to integrate classical reading into my current reading routine. At the heart of what I think this course is going to involve is spending 6 weeks reading one classics novel. Aside from reading, I also want to focus on comprehension and interpretation. So I think it will be a great thing to have an ongoing reading notes journal where I am writing down plot points, but also takeaways or questions that I have so that I can explore all of that in the future. And then my class discussion is going to involve me researching what other people are saying about the text. Now, I know based on classic novels that I've read in courses before that some can be very whoa, and some can be a lot easier to follow. And the whoa ones are the ones where I need a little bit of a helping hand in finding the symbolism and knowing what to look out for and just facilitating a thorough understanding of a novel. I don't know if that's going to be the case for the novel that I choose, but I think whichever novel I choose, whether it's on the easier side of things or the more difficult side, it's going to be one where I'm going to want to see what people are saying about it. Maybe I'll want to watch any movies that have been made about it too. My assessments and grading for this course is going to involve 50% completion on just completing the novel. If I do that, big win. I'll be very proud. And another 50% for making notes and analysis. So I have concluded that I'm going to do Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre for this classics class that I'm going to be taking. I grabbed this one because it was $5, and I feel like although the cover isn't my style, this is something that I could see myself wanting to experiment with bookbinding for. And for $5, you can't go wrong. Like I can risk it a bit. I feel like the inside layout I really like. There's a lot of margin space for me to write notes. So that's kind of what drew me to it. I also took it as a good sign because when I took it to cash out, the cashier had asked me if I had read it, and when I told her not, she's like, oh, you're in for a treat. And she was also telling me some like habits that she does when she's reading a new physical book, like signing the front page and writing the date that she read something. It was just a really nice interaction. So I felt like all the stars are aligning for this to be a really great read. Now, I naturally read every single day, so like that aspect of this is not my concern. My concern is more how to make sure this is a slow reading process, and thus if I'm slowly reading it over the course of 6 weeks, how am I differentiating it from my regular reading? So I think the main thing is having a specific time of day for when I read this, so in the mornings with my coffee. Also kind of setting a limit as to what I want to read each day. So I'm going to take the idea of the book advent calendar that I did during the holidays and use bookmarks or sticky tabs to split the book into different parts so that I know each day when to start and end. Like I said, it's not because I necessarily need inspiration for reading because that habit is so already ingrained in me, but it's the pausing, the stopping, because I can tend to be a speed reader and this is not necessarily something I want to speed read. Also, like if you have any ideas or tips on bookbinding, let me know because I do think this will be my first victim. Beautiful cover, but it is a bit damaged, and also the purple is not necessarily my forte, so I think we can make it look a little bit more cozy. Cozy is the vibe I'm going for. As a student, I always like to be organized, so I think making a Notion for this will also be a great way to keep all of my notes in one place. I've created this beautiful learning database for me to do all of my note taking in. And how each course is going to be divided is I'll create a database, and within the database, I'll create a page for each week of the course. So week 1, week 2, then next to that, I'll do status. And then within each week, I can track the lessons I completed. I can write down the things I need to work on, running vocabulary that I'm struggling with. I think these notes, kind of like my school notes, will change week to week. So I'm not going to overly structure what's in them, but I think having a spot for me to record progress and just highlight things that are working and not working is important. The difference with my classic reading notes is each week I'll have a spot or a table for me to record notes with the page number right beside it so that it's easy to keep track of all this information. And obviously the benefit in doing this on Notion rather than in handwriting, which I kind of feel tempted to do, but I see the benefit in doing it digitally for this course because then I can really easily research a quote or a note in seconds rather than having to flip through pages and pages of handwritten text. I'm going to tackle my classical reading every single day in the morning. It'll be my journaling adjacent activity while I'm having my morning coffee. The Portuguese lessons I think are going to be more of an after work activity that I spend probably 20 minutes on every single day after work, whether it be through doing lessons on the app or watching a Portuguese YouTube video. Whatever I'm doing, I just want to make about 20 minutes of time every single day for the Portuguese stuff. I think that's kind of a must. My expectations really come down to three things. One, I want to keep enthusiasm high. Learning is serious business and it's important business, but it's also fun. It has the capacity to be fun. Second one is effort. I want to be consistently showing up for these courses that I've committed to. I know no one else is really marking me or judging me. I mean, I guess now putting on the internet means I kind of have to stick to this for the next 6 weeks, or else that's kind of embarrassing. But ultimately, the consistency is to serve myself, not anyone else, or the image of what, you know, it represents to be taking time to learn throughout my day. Like that doesn't matter. This isn't about trying to be perceived as more intellectual. It's trying to actually increase this skill in my life that I feel like is just lacking from natural day to day. I am a naturally curious, and I do find learning new things really enjoyable, and I take you along with me as I do that in like a creative sense. But learning from a more intellectual standpoint doesn't just happen. I think you have to make it happen. And third is kindness. I don't want to add pressure to my life by expecting myself to be perfectly tackling both of these courses at all points throughout the next 6 weeks. That's not what this is about. If that was the goal, then I could just sign up for an actual course where there was like actual assignments to submit and tests that would add the fire under me. That's not what I'm trying to do here. Although I will say I have read some really interesting Substack articles of people doing like their own curriculum and actually having assessments integrated into their curriculum. Like they have to write essays, reports, but I'm not getting into that layer of things, although I do see a lot of value in that too. I just don't know necessarily if I would approach it from the same level of sophistication that I did as a student if I weren't actually being graded by someone. So that's a whole other topic for another day. Why is that the case? But nonetheless, I'm very excited about this curriculum journey I'm on for the next little bit. And I'm curious to know if you've ever considered doing something similar, or if you've incorporated learning into your life post-school, post your student era, in other ways. Have you actually taken courses? Like I know the Toronto Public Library actually has courses that you can take for free that you can do online, and they come in a variety of topics. I think they're so cool. Universities also have a lot of free courses and some ones that you can actually pay to do and get like certificates for. I mean, people sell courses online too, you know, for so many different things. So yeah, really curious to hear your thoughts on how you keep learning alive in formal or informal ways in your day-to-day routine. I will see you all very soon with a new video, and until then, happy studying.